Welcome back, everybody. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, and rather than having to choose between two of my favorite color casters, I figured why not both? And I've got a tri-cast with Aiden, Zyrene Moon, and Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley today. All going to be rocking this one together. How you feeling, boys?
Feeling great. Yeah, I mean, why not have both?
Why not have both? All right, well, we are having both, and we're going to have it right here, right now. We're jumping into our second match of the day as Team Liquid take the stage against Phoenix One. After making yet another change to their starting roster, Team Liquid still couldn't manage to find a solid performance last night.
Yeah, even though they brought in Adrian, it seemed like almost everybody in the game was struggling, and these changes are definitely not the solution or the instant solution that they were looking for.
Yeah, really not. I mean, they struggled against Envy. They got smashed by Dignitas. They got smashed by C9. You know, we've seen a handful of games from them, and it's just not the results that they wanted.
Yeah, they're trying to look to get into playoffs, but that is becoming less and less of a dream. If they lose here, then they don't have hope. But at the same time, now it's kind of refocus, relegation zone, try to get out of that for TL.
Yeah, exactly. I think at this point, you're really trying to fight for that 8th place spot, try to avoid relegations because they're all but mathematically eliminated pretty much from playoffs.
Today, Doublelift goes up against Arrow, who actually took a moment to share how Doublelift inspired him to play the role.
You know that movie Harry Potter, and that I'm not sure when it is, but that ministry that some people say when Voldemort watching, he's back, like this thing. So I tweeted that one because he is Doublelift, he's back. That's why reason I'm big pro gamer, because I am very impressed with his montage highlight, like maybe season 2 or season 3 Graves kiting movie. So I'm very excited that.
Arrow looking to be the boy who lived against the bot lane that shall not be named. Yeah. Today's matchup should be a lot of fun between these two.
I mean, Arrow definitely is so far the 80 carry that's lived. Lowest in deaths for 80 carry, highest KDA, basically all the way up there. He's basically the carry that Phoenix One needed.
I think it's Doublelift who has something to prove against Arrow, because Arrow to me has been the best 80 carry, the most consistent in the NALCS this season. But another guy who has been a big carry is Zig, and he's actually 10-2 on carry top laners, and that has been something that has just exploded for him. People used to talk about him as just only a tank player. He has proven himself as a legitimate threat, even while not getting a lot of help from his jungle.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is he actually gets the least help in terms of jungle proximity out of all the NALCS top laners, and he's actually 3rd in enemy top lane jungle proximity, so he gets camped a lot, and it's so hard to get something from Zig. So when you watch him and you watch the minimap, he always errs on the side of caution. If the jungler could be there, he's always there. He kind of plays it like blackjack. That face down card, always a 10. Jungler is always there.
And I mean, if they can continue their hot streak, not only is their playoff spot going to be all but guaranteed, they could contest Cloud9 for a first-round bye. I mean, Cloud9 lost again today. P1 has been looking so dominant. They could sneak in there and steal away that second-place spot.
Yeah, and they actually play against Cloud9 next week. So if they end up winning that one, there could be some tiebreakers that happen.
There could definitely be some craziness all the way up until the end of the regular split here for Spring 2017. But now it's time to jump into those starting lineups. So let's check out the blue side with Team Liquid. Lorlo in the top lane, Rainover in the jungle, Piglet at mid, Doublelift bottom, Adrian supporting him, and who can forget Coach David Lim.
Yep, and which means on the red side, it's going to be Phoenix One for this best of 3. In the top lane, it's going to be Zig. Jungle, they're starting Meteos today. The mid lane, it's going to be Ryu. The bot lane, Arrow. And support Stunt with Coach Fly.
And you know, we talked a little bit just now, boys, about how Phoenix One might be looking to potentially jump in there and grab that second place spot. But let's not forget that Liquid is working at this from a very different angle in the standings. Currently sitting in 9th place after their loss yesterday. Not feeling more comfortable about that. They're trying to avoid being in that relegation spot, trying to get themselves to a little bit safer ground by the end of this split.
I mean, these wins are extremely important for both teams to pick up. The bye spot is actually massive for P1, and for Liquid, you're trying to stay in the league. You're trying to make sure that you're in the best position that you can be in going forward.
Both very important for both very different reasons. As we jump into picks and bans to start things off, and with Meteos on the Phoenix One roster, the first ban out of Team Liquid is going to be the Olaf. We see a lot of jungle target bans against Meteos these days, going after that champion.
Yeah, the Elise, the Olaf, bring him down to the Zac. He has like this very unique champion pool that's kind of hard to get a little bit of scrim time against unless you're scrimming like CLG with the Olaf or some people who pick up that Elise. But the Zac is one that you really don't see anybody else playing.
And honestly, it's been working pretty well for him when he has brought it out. I think that champions like Zach can very easily be overlooked in the competitive scene, and players who have shown the ability to play these, B tier or A tier, whatever you want to call them, picks at a very high level have had a lot of success on them.
Well, Liquid going to go ahead and complete their bans by taking Rumble and Gangplank off the table as well, giving respect towards Zig. We talked about his numbers just a moment ago.
Yeah, you have to. The guy's even blind picked Kled a few times. I've talked to him. He's like, it shouldn't be working, but it is. And when I watch the way that Zig plays and I talk about him like backing off, we say he's 10-2 on carry top laners. He's not really a carry top laner in the traditional sense. He'll play fighters like GP and Kled that have things that like assist his team, but he's not taking over the game on these champions. He's assisting his team.
Yeah, that's fair to say, but he certainly has had some games where he has taken over. And I think, in the Kled in particular, to kind of relate that to what your exact point was, it's so hard to practice against this, not just in scrims, but even in solo queue. Almost no one plays Kled at the highest level, and he has really been able to shine on the champion.
And nobody plays it like he does because he's been playing it for so long, and he's at that high level, so it's very difficult to get practice against it. But yeah, he's like a low economy carry top laner, so he doesn't require attention, which we talked about, where he has the lowest jungle proximity, which means that the jungler is not assisting him top lane, but he's still playing things like the GP, like the Kled.
Well, Lorlo did go ahead, lock in the Shen first and foremost for Liquid, so they're picking up the top lane right away. Phoenix One look like they're going to be responding immediately in kind with the Nautilus to match it. See what else they want to go for here in the first round.
And I think the Shen was relatively telegraphed, so P1 has some time to think about it. When you ban out the counter picks to a champion, you can often assume that is going to come out. They're going to play more of a kind of just standard even lane with the Nautilus. That said, anytime you take Shen, you have the ability to get very proactive and look for plays around the map, make things happen. I think it pairs especially extremely well with Rengar if they're going to be able to go for that route, and there it is.
Yeah, because Meteos doesn't really want the Rengar, and that's why we saw an interesting pinch from Phoenix One, because they took away the Graves, they didn't take away Rengar, but they took away Lulu. If you see Shen coming, you probably leave Lulu up and you get it for yourself. It's kind of interesting how they didn't want that to go over with the Shen or even like take it themselves. It's odd.
We have seen a lot of priority on that Lulu lately. Plenty of teams first picking that before anything else. A lot of success off of it as well, but like you said, it's already been banned away. Not really going to be a factor this game. Meteos grabbing the Elise for himself. Take away the Olaf. He's going to be on one of those other champions that he's very capable with, as Liquid decides they're going to lock in their AD carry in this first half of the picks as well. Grabbing a Caitlyn for double lift.
Yeah, Caitlyn for double lift, and that means he's going to be able to have a lot of harass in the lane, a lot of pushing power. Support's not picked up here for either side or mid laners, so you're going to see a pinch there on either one. I assume Phoenix One ban some mids, pick one up themselves. I don't know if they'll actually counter with Stunt. Stunt has a weird pool where he will sometimes play things like Braum if the situation calls for it.
That's certainly something they could look for. A little bit surprised to see Vladimir banned away after the performance that Piglet did bring out on it, but he could have been doing well in scrims, and sometimes these bans that don't always make sense from the games that we have seen can make a lot of sense when you have those extra games that you're practicing against those players.
Along with the Vlad, Talon banned away here in the second part of the banning phase. Liquid trying to keep that out of the hands of Ryu. Saw it picked earlier today to not an amazing amount of success.
No, not a lot, but it actually did work out pretty well yesterday when it came out in the mid lane in the NALCS, and so it is something where you have to give respect. I think Ryu has been one of the best, most consistent mid laners in the league pretty quietly. A lot of attention obviously goes to Bjergsen and Jensen, rightfully so, but Ryu is right up there in my mind. It has some of the best games, and along with Arrow on this Ezreal, who has been crushing on the pick lately, there's going to be some pretty big threats coming out of P1.
Yeah, Arrow, huge threat for them. Ryu, he does fall a little bit when he plays against those top mid laners, but he does have a stride of consistency that he's hitting lately.
And mid laners are going to be the focus across this entire second wave of bans. All four, Jason, Cassiopeia, the second ban's coming through as Ahri is locked in for Phoenix One.
And Zyrie nailed it. It is going to be Stunt with that flex support pick, leaving that till last. They're comfortable picking the Ahri blind here, not saving for that last pick, and that does mean that there has to be some flexibility, something that you think is going to give you a bigger advantage both in bot lane or perhaps just in the team fight at large.
Yeah, because they could go Zyra or Nami here for their Caitlyn alongside it, which means you have to have something planned here, whether it's a Nami to keep yourself safe, maybe even Soraka and go super defensive, but we'll see what Stunt has in mind.
And I do love Nami Ezreal. I think that is an incredibly powerful comp. The Tidecaller's Blessing, in combination with the poke that Ezreal can already put down does work extremely well. And Nami is such a powerful laner. When you're going up against someone like Caitlyn, you often do want to have a little bit of a buffer to get you through lane. That said, you can go for the aggressive melee support picks, but that's super risky if you're going to do that against a Caitlyn Zyra lane.
Yeah, that's pretty much like you're going against the bottom lane here. And hold on, was it Nautilus the whole time?
Nautilus flex, perhaps.
Oh, wait, okay.
All right.
No,
All right. I thought we were going to get duped a little bit. Just a little bit. All right.
We all got really excited there for a second.
We just kind of got psyched out a little bit. They are going to be locking in that Karma to go with the Ezreal. The last 2 picks on the side of Team Liquid going to be the Zyra and the Syndra that we saw. Plenty of AP damage for this roster, too.
Yeah, the Karma decidedly less exciting than the Kled would have been there, but still, I respect it. It's a very strong bot lane. I think both teams have pretty well-rounded compositions. I do want to see TL being extremely proactive. I think that there's extremely powerful level 6s in both the solo lanes as well as the jungle. When you hit 6, you can do 3-man dives. Mid lane, you can go bot lane. There's a lot of roam and power potential at that level 6.
Yeah, they have a lot of great siege here as well. Once they get advantages, they have a winning bottom lane. Their mid lane is also a bit of a winning lane as well. And then they have the Shen, which will also make it so it's hard to actually make plays on those 2 lanes.
Yep, and one thing going for P1 here is really going to be the early game of Elise. I think that pre-6, Elise heavily outshines Rengar as far as the ganking. I do think that Nautilus Elise can set up dives well, and this is something that they're going to have to exploit.
And let's not forget the performances we've seen from Meteos just as an Elise player in the past. We've seen him hard carry these games on this champion. If there's somebody who can make it happen, it's him.
He's been playing for so many years, really known as a top-level Elise player.
And I love takes the kill, carries the whole game with Elise, like 7 kills, 0 deaths. Ridiculous. We'll see if he has another performance like that today.
It's definitely a day to step up, if anything. One of the last games to be played for both these teams in Spring Split 2017. After this, they're only going to be having the games remaining next week. Close everything out on it's do or die time. Team Liquid versus Phoenix 1. One vying for the top spots on the ladder, the other vying to claw their way away from the bottommost rungs as everybody's off the summoning platform and fanning out.
So jungle starts more important anytime you do have kind of one of this early game jungle mismatches. Elise looking to get things done early. Rengar really would love to just kind of get vision, power farm to 6. So both sides are going to be trying to either hide or track their junglers.
Yeah, especially since it's Rainover as well. He's very good, and people talk about how he's so smart all the time about his routing. These are 2 junglers that have that veteran game sense of they know and they can track the other guy basically just off of where the laners showed or when they showed or how much mana they used, etc. So these guys are definitely top tier, and I'm really interested to see how they farm their jungles.
And that's sometimes when these mind games come into play. I mean, earlier today we saw Impact going for a play like that, doing a fake leash to try to throw off your opponent, and you can look for those sorts of plays. Right now it is just kind of a line of scrimmage, but P1 was able to ward up their opponent's Raptors, which should give them a little bit of an edge in that jungle tracking.
These days, a lot of junglers are prone to starting at that Raptor camp. So just having that extra information down will let you know that he's not starting up there. At least it doesn't look like he's going to be right now. Rainover hanging around that top side of the map. Meteos doing the same on the Phoenix 1 side of things. Rainover taking the blast plan over the wall.
Yeah, and a little bit of a fake leash here for the bottom side because Ezreal Arrow is just sitting around by this buff. Auto attack it, throw some mana at it, but he's actually not doing it. It's a fake leash, but what they do is they give bottom side, they give priority to Adrian, who got to sit in the lane and put all of these eggs down, I guess.
And that's why there is actually a cost to this. Normally you can get off with these sorts of plays kind of a little bit scot-free, but having the multiple plants in an already winning lane means that there's almost a guaranteed level 2 burst here for TL, which can be pretty critical when you want to push in your opponent and poke them out.
That new Zyra skin is so cool. I didn't realize what you were saying at first when you said she's getting down all the eggs. I was like, wait, Zyrene, what the hell are you talking about? Then I realized, I was like, wait, that's new Zyra.
Yeah, Zyra's actually fallen off a decent amount in priority. People are going for the ranged healing supports and things like Lulu, Malzahar. It's interesting because Adrian's the one to go for it here. We've always known him as kind of the passive laner, but alongside Doublelift, that's not really what Doublelift needs. Doublelift needs an aggressive laner. Even when he was like grooming Biofrost, it was to be aggressive back on TSM.
Yeah, he's always been someone who looks to dominate lane. He's very mechanically talented player, and he wants to be able to use that to get edges in lane. And I think even this little play is actually very smart here. So they're playing to the fact that Elise has these early gank paths, wards over, kills the blast cone. That stops one of the most common gank paths for Elise that they would want to do.
Yeah, which allows them to keep shoving up and keep pressure in the bottom side and not have to worry about the Elise gank.
And even just taking out the scuttle there for Rainover, this has the bot side extremely well covered. Yes, Meteos could still look for a lane gank or something like that, but it's so much harder to pull off when you don't have hard crowd control, someone like a Thresh to bring you in for a lane gank.
Yeah, this is why there's that whole saying of, don't play to losing lanes. You play to your winning lanes, even the ones that are going to have a shove advantage, because they need more wards, they need more coverage, because they're going to play up, which then gets you turret damage.
Team Liquid making sure they're giving the resources and the vision and the information necessary to this bottom lane to allow them to continue to shove, utilize the power of the Caitlyn and the Zyra. Meanwhile, Zig shoving Lorlo in the top side, using the lane bully potential of that Nautilus to do the same thing that's happening to his teammates on the other end of the map. See a ping up there from Liquid, seeing if maybe they want to do something about that, but Meteos is also hanging around top side.
I mean, getting the shove is great, but the thing is, with Shen, you're not really punished that much. If you're pushing in a Maokai, it's a lot harder for him to CS under turret. With the Shen Q, you get so much bonus damage on the minions that it's almost comically easy to last hit under the turret. So unless you're actually able to get their health blown up that they can't threaten for the CS, you're not getting too much of an edge there, besides just the additional pressure.
Oh, and I like this. They're actually using, in the bottom side, that shove advantage they have to just kill all the plants, kill the blast cones, kill the Scryer's Bloom, and then they also know Elise is not on this side of the jungle, so top side beware. Lorlo's going to take a back, just like Zig, and he's actually going to TP.
Yeah, the timing has actually been very impressive that they're doing all these on the bot side. Very well planned out. The scuttle, then as their wards expire, they go for the Scryer's Bloom. They really are thinking well around what P1's game plan would be.
Yeah, and you can see after they hit the Scryers, you get like an internal timer of how long before Elise could be on this side. Doublelift has a ward, and I assume that once they shove up again, he'll go try to place that.
Meteos now trying to take control of the Scuttle Crab on the northern part of the river, grabbing that for his team. A couple of wards being thrown down here as well as Rainover walks over some of that vision, shows up just in time to see Meteos has already secured the crab. Stunt going to be stunned up down here, taking some damage from those little dragons, but nothing really to write home about just yet. Adrian and Doublelift still doing a good job controlling this lane, but the CS is being kept even by Arrow.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you can actually poke them out enough to make them base, with a range support plus Ezreal, it's very easy to farm under your turret. Likewise down there. But the big advantage that I would say TL is getting from this early game is the fact that Rainover is just being able to farm to 6. And when he hits 6, that is a very powerful spike for him. And if you can get that first ultimate to work, you really can start to snowball oftentimes on Rengar.
Oh, also spotted out Meteos there in the jungle, a little bit behind in terms of his capping and his level. Rengar's so quick as well.
Just about to even that up, though. Just a smidgen away from hitting that level 5. But, of course, we know that when Rainover hits level 6, it seriously enables great new gank opportunities. Meteos not really telling the same story with an Elise.
And it even more warding focus on the bot side. He bases instead of going for longswords or going for early call fields, as many players do. He goes for the early warding totem, gets 2 more wards down there. They're so heavily protecting their bot lane, and it really does speak to the game plan. They want to be able to keep them safe, as that's the most vulnerable lane. It's the one that is pushing. And now they're reaching these power points where Shen is 6. It's so hard to actually go for a gank like that now, with the threat of the Rengar counter gank at 6, the Shen ultimate coming in, and Piglet is hitting a point where he's going to be very, very strong.
Yeah, and in this matchup as well, where once he hits breakpoints and point and clicks and can maybe blow up Ryu, we'll see. But Ryu does have the exhaust and try and negate a bit of that burst.
Speaking of the Syndra burst, I'm hoping that Arrow remembers the last time he was Ezreal into the Syndra, and we saw him try to make those 1-versus-1 outplays, and he gets outplayed by the incredible mechanical aptitude of R plus Ignite that ends up putting him in the grave. This game, he should be a little bit more aware of exactly how much damage will be coming his way. So Phoenix One really has to be respectful of the burst potential on this Liquid roster.
You do, but at the same time, how do you really play around the fact that a champion can press 1 targeted non-skill shot ability and do all of your health?
Just pink the spears, Azale. Come on.
You just build a Banshee's Veil first,
Yeah.
sit in the well.
Question mark ping your karma once you die.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Make sure you do it until you can't do
There
any more
you
pink,
go.
though.
That's the way to
Get the
do
point
it.
across.
Start flaming the team. That's the
Yeah.
key to success.
Well, P1, they talked about how the environment is actually very positive right now, how it's quite good. They've also been making substitutions, even in the bottom side, right? It's even Adrian versus his replacement on Phoenix One against Stunt. Phoenix One, they were in a really good position in the standings, just swapping Inori and Meteos in and out, but they actually gave away Adrian to Liquid and found Stunt as the replacement.
And that's something that's pretty interesting to talk about as far as the change in fates for a player like Adrian. He went from being on a team that was near the top of the league to now being on a team that is potentially facing relegations. You know, that is a big swing for both him and Stunt. And Stunt has really been shining on his new team in his new role. And I think it's feeling like he's unlocked when he's playing with a player as good as Arrow. He's given every chance to shine.
It's interesting as well because, like, Stunt, I was talking to him. He's actually very proud. He hasn't lost a series.
I mean, he should be proud.
Phoenix One as a team right now are 5 out of 6 in wins in their last 6 series of the past 3 weeks. This is a team that is really just unlocking all across the board, turning on and making things happen series after series, game after game. Piglet narrowly dodging away from the charm there. The stun comes out in retaliation.
Here comes the R.
These two mid laners looking to go all the way. Ryu getting himself bursted, but not really in danger of a full combo.
Merc Treads. So I guess that's how you play against it. You get
That's
the
what
Merc
you do.
Treads.
Stack some of that early magic resistance. Sometimes you see a Negatron, sometimes you just decide to go for the Merc Treads. Keeps you away from the CC.
And I mean, you can certainly build around the fact that, and plus, it's just a double door Incinerate right now, right? He's just using the ultimate to try to get some sort of a lane advantage to chunk out his opponent. And you can build into things like an Abyssal early if you want as well on Ryu and not die, but there's still a cost to that, right? Even if you are surviving, then your assassination potential on the backline is so much lower, or at least it is quite a bit delayed. And you know, with the emphasis put on Double Lift, he is going to be a big threat.
Double Lift always capable of being a big threat if he's on a hard carry champion, if he has a team built around him. And with a Zyra to provide peel, with Piglet to burst down anybody that gets near you, with a Stand United to give you that shield if somebody jumps on top of you. They got the tools to put Double Lift in a hard carry position this game.
I definitely agree, and I think that that barrier of execution for Phoenix One's comp is quite a bit higher, because I feel like when you're team fighting on a champion such as Ari, you have to be able to get flanks off, you have to have good positioning, whereas TL actually has a pretty strong just front to back type composition where you can fight and just hit the front line. You have Zyra for the disengage. There's not as much of a requirement for them to set up a really good flank.
Yeah, as soon as you flank in, the Zyra can disengage the 4 other members that are not part of the flank, so it becomes very difficult, like you're saying.
Well, gentlemen, we've crossed the 10-minute mark and still no blood on the Rift, no turrets reduced to rubble. Both teams really wanting to play this one slow and steady.
And you have to be consistent, too, when you're playing it slow and steady. If you let up for just 1 second in your warding, sometimes that's when the Elise slides in.
Certainly can be the case, but I think they're just kind of nervous about the Shen, honestly. And when you put yourself in a position like this, you have to be willing to either make plays or be confident in your later game objective control, your team fighting. And in a slow-paced game, I actually do favor TL right now. I think that they're getting more out of just farming it out and playing it very, very slowly.
Seems like Zig making his way down bottom.
Making his way downtown if he can. Here comes the ultimate. Charm not going to be finding the mark. Meteos is here into the mix. Clinton's going to be used, and now the counterattack from Team Liquid. Zig going to be forced to run away. He's big, but he's not quite big enough. The damage comes through. First blood is out for Lorlo, but Arrow has made his way into the fight. Stunt right beside him. Meteos grabbing the kill off to the side as well. 2 for 1, Phoenix 1.
Yeah, they get a couple kills there. They're actually going to be able to push for the mid lane turret here. So despite first blood going over to TL, it's P1 who will get more.
Yeah, Ezreal shows up. Arrow actually roams a little bit faster. Double Lift stays down bottom. Adrian also gets a little bit of that fight, but not as much as Stun.
Good stuff for Phoenix 1. We talked about everything going so slowly, and then all of a sudden it explodes in the mid lane.
Yeah, and some pings onto the Infernal Drake, so it looks like it might be a reset here for P1 into a possible Infernal take.
I mean, the Infernal is going to be huge, and that next team fight really could look to set this up. This is a nice move here from P1. When you already have so many members down, despite the Shen ultimate coming through, you know that at worst you're basically in an even numbers fight.
Yeah.
Your bot lane is roaming up first, so they have even more.
Yeah, actually, Adrian gets there first, but Arrow then comes in, and now Double Lift is not a part of this. So 5 people from P1 in attendance. But also, interesting that Piglet decided to hard commit or recommit to that fight when it could have been disengaged. It was interesting that the CC layering was not quite there for P1, but look at that.
Oh my goodness, that is a fan vote if I've ever seen one. 82% of people think Team Liquid has got this game in the bag. They did pick themselves up that Infernal.
Some optimistic fans.
Those are indeed, those are true fans, man. True blue.
Yeah, there you go.
But they did get the Infernal Drake, going to be giving them some extra damage, so it wasn't a complete loss in the objective game.
And you think about why a lot of these changes were made, it was for the fans. Steve was constantly talking about how he wants to just get involved with the team again and get back in there because he's letting the fans down, and he's so happy that they've been sticking around and just supporting TL, even though they're in a 9th place position. So that's why there's so much stress on them to do well, because they have a gigantic fan base like that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they are a team that has a lot of individual talent. That's something that you can build upon and try to improve that synergy, improve the teamwork, and move to a location where you can actually start to win. Oh my God, Piglet! Oh no!
Piglet, you missed him with
Not like that,
no.
dude. All right, it's okay, guys. New mid laner, give him a couple more games.
That's
He'll get that blue buff next time.
There was like something where Freak was like, I've never seen somebody in pro play mess up the WQ combo with Syndra. They got to show him this afterwards.
There you go, Freak. I hope you're watching this, because that orb was not where it needed to be. Azale, wasn't it you on the analyst desk the other day that said, we can't wait for this team to see results later, we need to see results now?
Yep.
Adrian, though, in some trouble. Maybe the Mystic Shot, not going to be finding Adrian. Arrow getting himself away. Stunt still there to protect him. Very close.
Yeah, very close fight there. When you commit to actually going for the kill on the support, though, you're very vulnerable to the retaliation trades from the AD carry, because Doublelift is there pumping damage into his AD carry, so they can't actually stay around even in the 2v.
Ryu's going to wait here. He's actually going to bring in his Elise. And he's, oh, okay. So he didn't even ward it. Interesting. He just missed out on it. So back at Worlds, Ryu did it a few times where he just waits in that bush until, ooh. Still went over to Rainover, I think. Yeah, Rainover still got that. Both smites went down. It did regen a little bit there. And Rainover held it.
Meteos and Ryu both deciding that's not worth really fighting over. You saw the ward come over the wall to keep an eye on the red buff just a little bit too late. Had already been pulled away at that point, so missed their window to really force any sort of a fight in there. Phoenix One still sitting on a little more than a 1,000 gold advantage over their opponents, but not really a lot. 15 minutes into the game, still a very close matchup between these teams. As items are starting to come online, you can see the Morello Namacon for the Ahri. Ezreal with that Mana Moon completed, now going to be working towards the Trinity Force most likely.
Oh, they've been sniffed out here.
Rainover coming over the wall, Stand United ready.
Zig.
Meteos and Stun trying to get themselves away. A nice double taunt, going to be locking them down. The Nautilus ulti comes in. Stun's already found himself killed. Rainover likely going to be next. Arrow's got the damage. Lorlo having to get himself out as Team Liquid has gone 1-for-1. Piglet going to be locked down on the front line, popping the cleanse yet again. Ryu makes his way into the fight. Can he find anything? I don't think he will. The Spirit Orb fired off, trying to wait on this flank still. Ultimate available. Summoner spells too. Keep your eye on Ryu if this continues.
Lorlo also has teleport. Sticking around a little bit on that pad. I don't know if he'll go for it. There he goes.
Adrian just goes way too close. Piglet's going to be locked down next. Ryu's looking to make the moves. Doublelift going to be charmed. The damage comes through. And Phoenix One punish the overstay.
So well done there from P1. Yes, Lorlo had the TP, but it's way too late. He can't react in time. Zig knew he could make the dive. Still very healthy. And P1 gets so much off that fight.
Super good. They get themselves that turret, a second turret of the game for them, and now they have almost a 4,000 gold lead. Really well executed, super smooth.
Yeah, the dive, especially the play with Ryu and Zig working well together, landing the charm, setting each other up, was so on point there. And this is a scary spot now for TL because P1 has the ball starting to roll. You know, Arrow 204 this early in the game, this guy goes off when he gets a lead.
Yeah, and Meteos also 100% KP, the 105, but has the Proto Belt, has the challenging smite. We've seen what he's able to do once he gets rolling on an Elise.
3 different players on the Phoenix One roster, boys, have 100% kill participation right now. Zig, Arrow, Meteos, all been a part of everything the team is doing.
It's like we talked about him before the games.
It's almost like they're doing really well right now.
They are doing incredibly well.
Oh, but TL looking to make a play up topside. I don't know that this is going to work. We'll see if they commit to it.
Turret is still standing. Rainover trying to make the moves. Ace in the hole going to be channeled. Stun getting himself taunted, and he goes down. Adrian barely going to be escaping from Arrow. Ryu grabbing the killing spree onto Piglet elsewhere. That was a solo kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, and that's a big commitment to the top side. 4 members up there. The bot lane is already pushed in here from Zig. He's going to get some damage done. And thanks to Ryu getting a solo kill, they can shove up mid here too. And P1 again get more.
Yeah, and that solo kill looks like there were no flashes, exhaust involved either. Ryu probably just lands a charm and blows him up.
Ryu just made it happen. His health bar didn't even go barely below half against the Syndra.
They'll get this turret. They'll get damage on the bottom turret. Reset for Cloud Drake. P1 looking pretty good.
Turret falls. That's number 3 heading the way of Phoenix One. Still none for Team Liquid. Part of that 5,000 gold lead is that standing gold from the objectives. that they'd like to be able to reclaim if they could get any footing in this match, but everything just seems to be slowly sliding into the favor of P1 further and further.
Yeah, we talk about the lane matchups where it's bottom lane, losing lane for P1 a little bit, mid lane, the Syndra has a little bit of a better matchup into the Ahri, they counterpicked it, but it just, P1, they started making those proactive plays later and countering the plays that were coming through from the Stand United from TL. And now those lanes, they're definitely winning for P1 now. Not in the sense of the champion, but the items, the itemization, and how far ahead they are.
I mean, Arrow is actually way ahead. When you take in consideration the fact that he has all these extra kills plus the cull, he's actually 1,500 gold up. But Zig going to be forced to run, and TL do finally strike back and get that turret down. They need to try to make plays where they can. Make plays where you are strong, because right now, if you go into an even team fight, P1 is certainly going to come out the victor.
You got to find ways to sneak that gold back a little bit closer to a fair fight, because fair is just not what Phoenix One are looking for at this point in time. Cloud Drake being secured by Meteos.
Yeah, Meteos is going to do Cloud Drake. Bottom side's going to be shoved in here, and it's just Lorlo to defend against Arrow and Stun. And that turret is pretty close to going down, so TL will have to pull their bottom lane back and put it down there before that turret goes down.
Shot barrage
they have
fired
time, though.
away. Maybe to stop some of those backs. It's likely not going to do anything, really. Just aggroes the Rift Herald. Makes him a little angry there for a second, but we're not really going to see anything else out of it for the rest of the game, I would be willing to bet. Arrow and Stunt continuing to push up down here. Lorlo being chipped away at and gets himself back.
Yeah, Lorlo tanky enough at this stage that they don't want to risk a play coming in, with Rengar out on the map. And just really a nice play here from Ryu. Has a lot of patience, makes sure that he nails that charm point blank. And that gets the kill, and he's going for it again on Piglet.
Gonna make it happen twice almost. That charm doesn't find its mark. Piglet keeping himself safe off to the side.
And Ryu's not even having to use summoner spells to do that. And that first one didn't use summoner spells. The second one here where he chunks out Piglet, gets his flash, puts Piglet in a kill position for the next one.
Piglet is in a really rough spot against Ryu's Ahri. If every single time he walks away from the safety of a turret, Ryu's able to do that, you've got a real problem for Team Liquid as the top lane tier 1 now falls. Phoenix One going to be making that their 4th turret of the game. That 5,000 gold lead still remaining strong. Everything's kind of stagnant in terms of the gold difference between these two teams. Granted, they're not falling further behind, but Liquid is not closing this down any either.
They aren't, but if P1 can get a fight pretty soon, one of the biggest things to recognize is that it's not just the gold lead, it's the item completions. So if you look across the board for Phoenix One, they have so many 2-item members, whereas TL is all 1 in pieces, and that just makes you so much more efficient. This is essentially the most ahead they could be with this gold lead.
Yeah, it literally, like, right as this is happening, Luden's Echo completed for Ryu after that one dive mid, and then the Trinity Force for Arrow. So these 2-item spikes for them are huge to the 1.5 that are coming out here. And look at that, nice stun.
Combo damage coming out though. Meteo's gonna be forced to repel. Reignover still grabbing the kill onto him now, looking to make even more happen on to Stun. A double kill for the Team Liquid jungler.
Arrow kill is low
Hitting up
though.
the wall, trying to keep himself alive. Arrow grabbing the killing spree onto Piglet. Adrian gonna be dropping next. 3 versus 3.
What are you doing,
Reignover's gonna be pulled out and shut down. Zig sets it up.
They can't reach Arrow after they reset that fight, and he just cleans up. He gets 3 there and helps take him down.
Yeah, so much commitment to killing off the support and the jungler. Zig walks in so tanky, able to frontline for Arrow, who is so powerful at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's the support and jungler. It's those two guys.
Ryu
Oh my goodness, Ryu diving in, looking for the damage. A little bit more will find it, and double lift is down.
And he's out, too. He's not going to get repaid for that. Look at this.
Here comes Arrow.
Arrow wants Lorlo, not quite going to be able to reach him, but this P1 team is just going off.
Yep, Arrow's now going to rotate down to the bottom side where Zig has this gigantic wave. They're winning skirmishes that they're down in numbers because they have gold, and then they just reset and keep going. And you can see, like, Zig doesn't really do anything in this fight. He's bottom, just wasting away. Then he TPs, comes in, and this is what kind of seals Reignover's fate. Arrow, great Q, hits Piglet, reset, hit Adrian. Hold on, stun, caught. No art.
Stunt may be in some trouble. Meteo's trying to stop these guys from going any further. Reignover and Piglet both going to be down below around half HP. Arrow and Stun hurting as well. Ryu trying to find his way into the fight. Flash going to be used from Adrian. Piglet caught out and has no way to escape. Tries to ult to take one with him, but it just won't do it.
Arrow's seen that one before. Walks up on the Syndra. Throw the heal down, get me a shield stun.
And even just having the early null magic mantle is actually pretty key here.
Good.
And they're going straight on to Baron. 22 minutes in. I feel like TL need to try to contest this. You can't afford to give this up when this far behind, and they're going to go for the fight.
Phoenix One demands an answer from Team Liquid now. Lorlo
Ryu looking for rain over.
Ryu over the wall, looking to find rain over if he can. A little bit more damage might do it, but
Arrow's
Adrian
dead.
over the wall, grab the kill onto Arrow. Stunt now very low as well. Ryu trying to run away. Ace in the hole going to be blocked by Zig. And Phoenix One loses their 80 carry for nothing.
Bit of an over-aggressive bait there from P1 onto the Baron. It looked like it wasn't a full commit either. As soon as Reign Over popped the ultimate, they were looking, and that Ryu decided to dive right in. Didn't get the kill, though.
Yeah, I think they were just hoping that TL's vision had slipped, that they wouldn't be aware that this Baron was going on, and go for the rushdown. I mean, it ends up giving up that shutdown onto Arrow, but still not the biggest of costs. Important for TL that they did stop it, though.
38,000 to almost 45,000 gold. The lead continues to build itself up for the boys from Phoenix One. CS staying pretty close across the board, though, as here's a replay of how it all happened to Baron.
Yeah, and I mean, this was always going to be a turn for the fight. Ryu actually trying to go for the assassination on Reign over here, but not able to hit most of his skill shots. Reign over does a good job dodging out, and in the backline, Arrow had already gone down, so it's just a full retreat from P1.
Yeah, the Baron did a lot of work there for getting P1 low, and then the cleanup afterwards. But that was Ryu being incredibly aggressive. Felt like he had more damage because he's been just destroying Piglet in mid lane. But there's Merc Treads on this guy, and he's got a little bit more resistances. So Ryu overestimating his damage.
Still no deaths on Ryu, though. 5-0-2, having a very solid Ahri game. Just no fear whatsoever in this mid laner from Phoenix One. Constantly just watching him dive into the lines of Team Liquid to find these kills.
And you can see what P1's focus is. They've maintained full vision control around the Baron. They're looking to try to force TL to come to them. They know that they're at a very strong point right now, so they want to look to force fights around objectives, and that's exactly what they're trying to set up here with all this vision around Baron.
Yep, they also have a big beefy tank with Zig. They can set up the Baron. They have 2 control wards in the pit to make sure nothing slips by them. Also, those blue trinkets are down right now for TL. And it looked like if they were going to walk at the Baron there, that Ryu would be off on the side. So the Baron setup is costing them a little bit in terms of objectives across the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's Lorlo in the bot lane taking a turret, so Phoenix One does have to actually pull the trigger at some point. I think they will eventually go and start it up. Now that the Rengar ultimate is down, it'd be so hard for Reign Over to get in. We'll see how fast TL picks up that this is going down. It's a 2-man right now.
Yeah, they don't have blue trinkets, though.
Zig and Arrow trying to 2-man this one down as effectively as possible. Ryu, Stunt, and Meteos now working their way over towards Baron. That's now under half HP. 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, and
There's
down. Phoenix One takes it no contest as Lorlo continues to try to siege this tier 2.
There's a super good timing there as well. Lorlo's on bottom side. He doesn't have teleport, so the only way for him to get in is a stand united, and he'd also have to have somebody face check. But the vision denial from P1 that they've been playing with is just too risky to actually face check onto.
Yeah. And without the Rengar ultimate, there's almost no way for Reign Over to really be relevant in that fight. For him to get in, they will take the lesser of the 2 prizes and grab back a dragon, but still, P1 now can look to blow this game open. They have their gold lead, they have the Baron buff. This is where they should look to try to really deal a death blow.
Absolutely. Baron is huge. Gives you the buff, gives you a lot of money, gives you some experience, but what really matters is what you do with it. What does it translate into? Phoenix One wants to find one of those big, juicy 5K Baron power plays and just crush what's left of Liquid.
Yeah, and then you can see Ryu top side going to clear out that minion wave. It's mid-top control for them right now. Seems to be the name of the game. So he'll pick all of this juicy farm up, and then...
Oh, that feels so good. Just bowling ball him down.
And I think Ryu can honestly just continue to push. There's no one that can really match him in a 1v1
Yeah.
right now. So you can look for a 1-4 split. Shen does not push fast enough to really add a lot of threat. He's going to have to come back to the base pretty soon, as Phoenix One will be knocking on the door.
And he wants that turret bottom, so this is where Phoenix One can kind of play with this. Say, we know you want that turret, but they want to pull him off of it as well.
Phoenix One having to deal with this Caitlyn siege / anti-siege scenario where the cupcake line likes to prevent a lot of the moves you would want to make, but they're ahead enough. They really don't care about it. Meteos off to the side.
Oh, good repel.
Forced to repel while the rest of the team makes their way over. Meteo's going to be kept safe by the Redemption. Stunt and Zig both knocked up into the air. Stunt going to be forced to flash away, respecting the damage potential from Piglet.
And I mean, while they do force a flash there, Doublelift had to flash, and there's no unleashed power on Syndra, so P1 can force a dive.
Yeah, Mantra Inspire. trying to get these guys in. Zig gonna be soaking some damage. Turret's already down. Now gonna be tanking onto the front line. Zig is history. Shutdown credit goes over to Piglet. Phoenix 1 still thinking about whether they want to go further. Arrow is healthy.
He hit
Ryu's
him.
able to make the charm double. It's gonna be deleted. Meteo's trying to scritter his way into the fight, but who needs him? A double kill for Ryu.
Ryu playing out of his mind, dominates the mid lane. Now he's dominating the game.
Yeah, and they're looking like they're not going to stop. They're going to keep pushing in here. They may try to end the game.
They have that
Phoenix
Baron
1
buff.
with the Baron buff. They've got a lot left to work with. Lorlo
Nice
not finding
cocoon.
anything off of the taunt. Meteo's popping the Zonya's hourglass to keep himself safe. Piglet landing a stun onto Ryu. The Merc Treads making sure it doesn't lock him down for too long. One Nexus turret falls, and Phoenix 1 says, okay, that's enough.
You're talking about those juicy Baron power plays. Now they're 10,000 gold up. On Phoenix 1's side, they have that top inhibitor down. They can continue to push, and they can go for something like that mid lane or that bot.
And that's exactly what they needed. You break the base at this stage in the game. They've extended their lease on life, their advantage in this game, because when you're this far ahead, it's not tougher to team fight. They can force onto their opponents, and Ryu really has been taking advantage of this. Knowing that Doublelift didn't have his flash, he went super aggressive later in the fight, but here's the initial play.
Yeah, I like that Phoenix 1 decide to finish the turret. It's a hard commit to finish the turret. Even if they lose Zig, it's what matters because they can reset here and move forward, and then that flash charm on the Doublelift, catching him out, and then Ryu with the follow-up.
And that's what they're taking advantage of. They knew that Doublelift had no flash, so you can look for an assassination play there, and that allows you to stay around.
Now Zig going in, Rainover getting himself anchored down. Adrian and Piglet off to the side. Nautilus ulti going to be
Ryu's
used.
here.
Barrage follows it up. Ryu wants to get in here if he can. The dredge line will not find its mark. Liquid gets away, all 5 members intact, but Rainover's got to lick his wounds a little bit.
And P1 can play this pretty patient. They want that top lane wave to actually crash and start to threaten the single Nexus turret, which makes it that much more vulnerable. Those turrets are not going to clear out the wave very fast, and once that arrives, they can look to force here in the bot lane.
Yeah, but they're also going to send Ryu to mid. The guy is 3 levels up over Piglet. He's just unstoppable in terms of 1v1. Nobody can really match him right now, so he is their split pusher. The giant wave in the top side will be kind of their 6th man. It'll push into the base and cause pressure, but now Ryu will deal damage to that mid turret, but also threaten a flank from the top side of this fight.
Baron power play plus 4,012 gold. Not too shabby for Phoenix 1.
Still 5K.
I said 5K for the example, so they didn't quite hit the bar, but they still did a pretty solid one, breaking over the top part of the base, breaking into the top part of the base, I should say. Now sieging up outside of the bottom lane tier 3. The Cupcake line continues to just go down as fast as Doublelift can lay those traps. But Phoenix 1 does not want to stop this. Ryu hanging out over the wall, just seeing if he can land some kind of a charm with that ward placed down there as well. Just finding these pot shots one at a time onto the turrets.
Just tiny, small shots in there. But he does a lot of damage right now. It does a decent amount of his AP to it. He's slowly taking it.
Meteo's hoping somebody just gets audacious enough to step outside that base gate.
Well, it's the pick. There's a little bit of pick inside this composition with single targets. We saw it when they dove the turret very early on in the game, but hold on.
Rengar ult used. Liquid wants to make some kind of a move here, but it's so hard to do when you're down 10,000 gold. Over the wall he goes, going to be looking for Meteos. Ace in the hole finds him, but it doesn't even break the Inspire. They're so far behind.
And that's a lot of the threat taken away from TL's comp, because that is kind of the delivery for Shen, that Rengar ultimate. So Lorlo gonna have to base now. He needs to get down here. This turret is going down fast.
Zig just standing next to Arrow, trying to keep him safe and protected. Gonna be thrown up into the air by the Strangle Thorns. The Redemption keeping him plenty healthy.
Yep, and now go mid because there's a wave there. And they're going to start dealing some damage to this turret very quickly. And this is just the back and forth play. Nobody's staying bottom, though, to help clear that wave out. So they might be looking at Cloud Drake in the future here after a back.
Cloud Drake in 15 seconds. Phoenix 1 deciding to call it off from here. Deciding that they've had enough for now. They did blow a lot of resources from Team Liquid.
They certainly did, and I think a critical thing right now is that the Baron is up in 40 seconds. That's really what they want to reset and get vision control over. If you stay on the map too long and you lose a fight, you see the Baron. Instead, you move out, you maintain full vision control around that Baron, and you can easily set up either a fight or an objective take.
Yeah, the Cloud Drake, not really that high of a priority, but the fact that the Baron was about 40 seconds, that's actually a perfect time to back there, reset, gives you enough time to walk to it and have enough to walk into their jungle and ward it up.
Well, Cloud Drake, Baron, honestly, whatever they want to do right now, it's up to Phoenix 1. They control the map, they control the game. This is their game to play, and Liquid is just trying to find a way to claw themselves back into it, but it's getting increasingly difficult.
really is. And I think that it's going to be so tough for them to ever approach on this Baron. They have a blue trinket up, but I mean, they can just start the 2-man already. They have 3 men zoning out. This is the same setup they went for last time. As the Baron gets low, you can collapse the rest of the team in and secure it, and that's exactly what they're looking to do. We'll see if TL can respond in time.
It worked once. Will it work twice? Phoenix 1 backing themselves away from Baron right now. Not wanting to risk some kind of a 50-50 here. Reignover
They're committing to
ulted.
it.
Here they go. Arrow shifting himself out of danger. Lorlo going to be taunting backwards. Zig, the only one CC'd for now, still going to be tanking onto the front line. A Stranglethorn only grabbing one. Lorlo still trying to dodge away from the damage. Meteos over the wall, keeping himself alive with the Hourglass. Lorlo having to fall back again. Reignover going to be bursted down. More damage coming out. Ryu finally dies. But at what cost? Adrian will fall. Lorlo's going to be taken low. Piglet trying to escape. Arrow in hot pursuit. Meteo's still there too. Zig and Arrow going all the way in. Piglet is triple killed by the Phoenix 180 carry.
And that's going to be it for game 1. They'll TP to the top lane and straight through there. Only 1 Nexus turret remaining. Almost nothing Lorlo can hope to do here.
Zig already on that inhibitor, knocking it down with the anchor. Arrow giving him the style flash. Tell him what you're all about. Knock down that Nexus turret. Phoenix 1 just have to get through the last defense of Lorlo to find their win here. Reignover not going to be alive for 5 seconds. Same for Doublelift and Adrian. And ladies and gentlemen, Phoenix 1 in 34 minutes will take game number 1.
Phoenix 1. That game, cleaner than your church shoes. Very well played from Phoenix 1. It was great.
What if it's raining outside?
You're a star boy,
Hey,
Cyrene.
you put that extra polish layer on it, just slides right off.
All right, well,
Great.
it was a great game 1 from P1. And honestly, it's feeling like the more we see of Piglet, the more weaknesses are being shown. He's really struggling to match up in some of these games. I mean, his Vladimir game was pretty rough. He's really struggling here against Ryu, who felt like he was able to fully take over the game, despite Meteos not having a huge presence in the early game.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we first saw Piglet, it looked pretty good from him. It looked like the rest of the team was struggling. Then we started getting to the Frog and mid laners, where these are guys who have years of experience in the mid lane, who know how to punish your small mistakes. Now we're looking at the Ryu right now up against him, and it just seemed really, really bad. A guy who was semifinalist at Worlds in the mid lane versus Piglet, who just swapped that role professionally, and it definitely is showing. You know, his weakness, his rookie mid is showing.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. And when you make a big switch like this late into the split, sometimes you don't have the opportunity to get all that practice you want. And somebody like Ryu, like you mentioned, the perfect type of person to take advantage of that and snowball it into a game where he is just judge, jury, and executioner, finding people, saying this guy's done, and taking him out of the picture.
And I think it's really cool, too, that they picked up the Ahri when they did, because they're taking the Ahri away also from the Shen-Rengar composition, which is another target for the Shen to ultimate in on. And it's honestly one of Piglet, I believe, is one of his most comfortable champions, is that Ahri, where he can play make and be self-sufficient. The Syndra really needs the help of his team and good positioning, which comes with time.
And they never really were able to put that together.
Well, for more on that Phoenix 1 win, we're going to go ahead and throw things over to the analysts to see what they make of it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Phoenix 1 got a first victory here over Team Liquid. Once again, we're looking for them to be doing that, especially as they've made some pretty serious moves up the ladder rankings here on the latter half of the split. But we're looking at that mid lane, I think. We're looking at Ahri against Syndra. Piglet looking to struggle a little bit on that champion, whereas Ryu had a pretty standout performance for a majority of the game.
Yeah, and I think I overall like the idea of what TL did. Gets Zig off some of his carry champions, open up that Shen first pick so you don't have to worry about the GP, whatever. And then, you know, it's mostly like a snowball team comp where you want your Caitlyn lane to be dominant, you want your Syndra lane to be dominant, and then you want your Rengar with the Shen to be able to make plays in one of those two lanes, but it just didn't come together at all for Team Liquid, and a lot of that was Ryu's good laning in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and I'm also really surprised by how well Arrow played this matchup. Like, if you look at this matchup, usually what happens is the Ezreal gets pushed in, and then every Caitlyn matchup today has had really, really high CS differences. And the only time I've seen it before where it wasn't was actually Doublelift on the Ezreal end.
About to say, just yesterday.
Yes, where he played against Caitlyn's, and that was, I was like, incredible performance. Today, Arrow had a great performance too.
Right, yeah. The game you're referencing yesterday, after a pretty early back for Doublelift grabbing the Cole plus tier, able to CS pretty evenly against the Caitlyn, maybe down like 3-4 CS, you know, when we're hitting that 100 CS LCS mark. Similar thing here. If you're confident enough in your AD's ability to lane into a Caitlyn, then great. I think that's, it opens up so much flexibility for you in Champ Select to give that away, where we're seeing other teams, that might not be an option for them.
I mean, more importantly than that is just being able to like play the matchup, not just like CS under turret and watch your turret die at 8 minutes, which has happened a ton of times today. The fact that the turret was up, they were not getting super low to make easy Shen Rengar plays, stuff like that. So good job by Arrow as well.
Right, but if we want to talk about where Phoenix One really got control of the game, it only came 15 minutes in, 4 for 1 in the bot lane. So lots of visitation down there. Let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick.
Yep, so you see, this is kind of like, they see Stunt and Meteor setting up a play in the bot lane. They want to force it. It actually starts out pretty nice with a double taunt here, but then Adrian is not able to land that follow-up route onto people, so even though they get the first kill, they get relatively chunked out during this time, and Zig gets the TP in. And this is kind of the problem that we see with Team Liquid a lot, is that like when things go bad, they don't like seem to back away or reset and try and go again. Like Lorlo leaves and doesn't TP back in.
I thought Shen was going to TP right here, and I was like, okay, he's coming back, he's coming back, he's coming back. Where is he? Oh, there it is. And then by this time, it's already over.
Yeah, much too late, but I do love the way that this fight started, which is exactly what you were talking about, Mark, bringing the Rengar and the Shen, looking for fights in the other lanes. And so the game plan, the strategy is there. The execution misses slightly, and then as you mentioned, they can't seem to recover quickly enough in that situation, and they lose more because of it.
That's the big thing, is like you have Shen, you have double globals. You should force that play. Doesn't work out great. We get a 1 for 1. Maybe you even have to sack the bot turret. That's fine. Like just back away from that turret, hold on to that global advantage you just generated yourself, and make another play. Instead, they stay under the turret, they lose the turret, they hand over 1 million kills,
and use the cooldown.
And use the cooldown. So like they lose so much off of what should be not great plays. It was a good idea, execution a little off, whatever. That's fine. Reset, do it again, and they just end up in such a deficit that you can't.
Yeah, they're just overreaching when things are going badly. Let's go ahead and talk about that CS differential, those stats that you were looking for. CSD at 15 here this weekend, or rather today against Caitlyn's. Arrow was only down 1. Sneaky, Laud, Wild Turtle down 10, 21, and 36, respectively, at 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it really points out like just how good certain ADs are at being able to CS and deal with the Caitlyn pressure. Doublelift and Arrow are the two ADs I think are probably the best in the league, if not like at least both top 4. And so I think maybe you're able to play worse matchups against Caitlyn, but only if you're at their caliber.
Right. I think that's actually a great point, because over on the TSM, on the other stream, we saw that despite, you being pretty adamant that that was a fine matchup that they had in Jin Nami versus the Caitlyn Lulu, they still got smashed. So even if it might be the kind of thing where there are these skill matchups, but most people are not able to play the non-Caitlyn side of it.
Right, and it's interesting looking at this Team Liquid roster. This whole time we've been talking about, where's blame going to fall as the shuffling has continued, right? Is there blame to be thrown at Piglet or Doublelift, or is it Rainover? It's the coaching staff. What is it? Well, guess what, guys? They're subbing in somebody for Game 2. Matt's coming back in the support position. So it seems like the team themselves still unclear about what exactly their method to winning is.
I mean, at some point, it's just like not a player problem, right? Like you've subbed out 60% of your roster at this point. You have your mid lane as now your old AD carry. Like the team is completely revamped from what we saw that was struggling at the start of the season. There's just a big failure of the team to work together, it seems like.
Yeah, I think they're just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something sticks.
Yep.
And obviously, like right now, they're not looking for that playoff spot. They're looking to avoid relegations and look to rebuild early.
And while it's struggle city for Team Liquid, Phoenix One looking pretty strong here. In particular, Ryu, we got to mention him again for player of the game. I mean, he's got that snowball rolling. And, although there were a couple plays we saw, he couldn't get the execute, say, on Rainover in an example or two. This is more the kind of RE play that we were looking for in terms of flank positioning and getting those quick burst targets down that we hadn't seen in previous games from a few other mid laners.
Yeah, you compare his Ahri to Ninja's Ahri, like he got a solo kill when he got the lead mid lane. Great to see, and you look at how he team fights. He sometimes plays the edge of the team fight and goes in, or he goes straight in, even against a Shen, which should be really difficult. And so he's able to work well with his front line to create positions where he has pressure.
Playing with a lot of confidence there, and of course, when you got Arrow behind you, knowing that he'll wipe up any kills you don't manage to secure, you're in a good spot. Phoenix One walk away with the lead in this series, but Game 2 is just around the corner. Stick around to see if Liquid can take us to a Game 3, or if they fall to Phoenix One.
Okay. We can go. Watch on the side here. Zyra. Kate. Go Zyra. Right here. Can you Syndra?
Syndra dort.
Go Zyra. Nice.
Syndra dort, can you chase?
Yeah. Match 3. Okay, I'm going.
Syndra dort, okay? I got her. Nice.
I think just stay here. Stay down. Yeah. Okay, we can push for game.
Go in.